winning fish in the boat?
Definitely, you got to know what you're looking at on the screen. You can't catch everyone, so you're going to be targeting bigger blobs. And we long pole a lot, especially in Mississippi where the water's muddy. You got to get right there on them. But just deeper water this time of year, 20 foot for the bigger fish on pickwicks hanging out. Uh, that's kind of what we always go after is the bigger fish, around they're sitting around the brush, and then in Mississippi they're up more shallow right now in muddier water.
Okay, Clay, I got another question for you. There's all different sizes of heads. Obviously, wind, current, all those kinds of things are going to be part of your factoring. But how do you judge what you're going to use? Is there a depth range? And what's your kind of favorite go-to size?
Well, the more shallow the water, the lighter exactly you're going to fish. But like he said, the more the wind, you got to have a heavier bait to get to them. But personally, for the bigger fish, I think you need to fish for the lightest thing you can to get to them and stay on them. There's some bigger fish that's real smart.
Do you ever use a split shot in front of you if you're using a real light when it gets deeper? Split shot?
Yes, sir.
Is there any time where a head that basically weighs nothing, like maybe use a plastic head or a polymer head, that would be a play in crappie?
I don't think so.
I'm just asking, because there were some slow fall jigs that came out in bass fishing that were actually made of polymer. They didn't weigh much and they kind of suspended. So I was kind of wondering if that might play in crappie. Colors, guys. I know there's a million colors out there. I know you can play with head colors. Bass fishing, we tend to match the head to the skirt color or the jig color a lot of time. How do you choose a color, and is there a mix that you kind of find that you like?
For me, it's probably, go by watercolor a little bit. But I like just plain lead a lot of times. Monkey milk is a great color for crappie. But when they get shallower, we seem to go with a darker color on the Coosa River, especially like needing here in black or the blue. Black and blue with chartreuse tail or grubs and stuff if you're casting docks or laydowns or something that need a hand is really good. And if I'm going to go with a color head, my favorite color is like they call it a shrimp. It's pink and white most of the time, or just a solid pink. And I'll do ice blue. I'll do any color variation of my grubs on that pink head a lot of times. And I've seen it make a difference a lot of times. It's going with that pink head over just a plain lead.
Clay, what about you? How do you kind of select colors? And is there a favorite combination that you go to in those kinds of situations?
I like black and chartreuse, and like he said, monkey milk. It's hard to beat them.
Is there a time that you'll mix head color? Will you go chartreuse? Will you go with pink? Will you go with orange? I mean, is there a time that you do, or is it just by feel?
Usually, when they move up shallow, we fish black head with black and chartreuse, and the rest of the time just plain lead.
You're talking about long poles. What's your basic setup for jigging with the jig with the crappie? Shallow. How deep will you go? What's your basic setup for fishing?
15-foot mafia rod with 12-pound fluorocarbon and a spinning rod.
So you use a fluorocarbon. You won't go to the fluorescent lines. Okay.
No, sir.
Scott, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I just mainly cast for them or shoot docks, and I use either a 6-foot medium light or a 6.6, depending on what I'm doing. And I mean, I use a Johnny Marsh carbon light rods. They're the white rods that they got for crappie fishing, and I've got various reels, but I really like the 1500 size, little small spinning reels. And I use 4 to 8 pound test line, depending on what I'm doing. I really like using 4. And I don't think it matters as far as getting a bite, but a lot of times if you're fishing deep, it helps get the jig down there and you can feel better with that 4 than you can with a heavier line. And if we're like, I fish at Gunnersville a lot for them, and we're catching 20, 25 foot deep, and it just makes a huge difference with that 4-pound line being able to get a 16th ounce bait down there. The biggest thing that I've noticed with crappie, even now that we can actually see them, is getting them to bite is the rate of fall. Same thing with bass fishing. If I'm flipping a jig, it's the rate of fall. When I'm fishing a 1/2 ounce jig, if I go to 12 or 15 pound line, if I'm pitching a 1/2 ounce jig, I can feel it fall real fast and it hits the bottom. If I put that 1/2 ounce jig on 20 or 25, it slows it down a lot. And a lot of times they like that slower fall. A lot of times they like it faster. But I've seen it matter tremendous with crappie for fishing. We'll go to a 1/32 ounce, even in that 20 foot of water sometimes, if the wind will allow you to fish it, and you just get more bites.
Does anybody here have any questions thus far?
I've got one.
Yes, sir.
I retired, bought a house here on Neely, so I'm trying to figure this crappie fishing out here. Fished on Wheeler and Gunnersville, pretty easy there. But one of the things I noticed is up in Canoe Creek, a lot of guys are like you said, trolling now.
Yeah.
You guys, when you guys troll, will you guys use a swivel? Because I see some guys use
Okay,
a swivel and a sliding jig just for the trolling technique.
For those of you guys watching at home, he's asking about Canoe Creek here on Neely Henry, and when he's trolling, if there's a swivel that they might use.
I mean, I used to troll a little bit. I don't even do it anymore now with the forward facings out. But it's actually a lot of fun. And we would troll we would have like 6 rods out with different size heads on it, different color head, different color baits. And once we figured out what size head, that just controls the depth of it because you got them all out the same distance. That controls the depth of it. When you figure out which one they're biting the most, we'd go to all that and all the same color and everything. Once you figured that out and dialed it in, no swivels or anything like that. He may have a better answer for that trolling. I don't know.
No, the only thing we still troll crankbaits, but other than that, we just live scoop.
Yeah, I was going to ask hard baits. I know that they're out there. You know, you got this real small crappie crankbaits to a little bit larger ones. When might you employ a crankbait versus a jig?
I mean, during tournaments, we never fish crankbaits, but in the summer when the water's 90 degrees, you can sit out there and just have fun and you can stare at the screen all day, jump them out the back and take off about a mile and a half an hour.
Is there a special spreader rig or something that you do to might put them, or you kind of one pole it at that point?
Well, I'll let him answer that. But one thing he said there too is the speed of your boat is the biggest difference on that too when you're trolling. If you get into trolling like Shoal Creek, Canoe Creek, that's 2 of the most popular places to do it up here, is the speed. Once you figure out what speed to put your boat at, because that's going to control how deep your heads go.
Is there any kind of special rig to keep the rod separated, or do you just kind of one pole it with a crankbait?
There's some kind of planer board or something I've heard of, but we just fish 2 on each side on the back for 4 rods on the rod holder.
When you get into a shit, like you're watching your depth the whole time if you're trolling. And if you get shallow or you go to make a turn, speed your trolling motor up a little bit because you want your jigs to come up. If you make a turn at the same speed, if you turn to the left, all the ones on the left are going to sink down. And you're going to get all your rods will get hung at the same time, and then you got a big trouble.
And sometimes whenever you make that quick turn, like he said, that's when you'll get a bunch of bites because the bait's easy and then it shoots off and the fish are in it.
Oh, that's my favorite. Is I throw a turn in.
Yeah.
Seize the trigger when you do that.
So that's a bass fishing thing too. A lot of times change of direction. It could be deflecting the lure off a stump, even just twitching things. So crappie kind of act the same way.
For sure.
I had one question. We joined the Neely Henry Lake Association. We've been involved in making the habitat. And those are all plastic PVC. Do you guys find it easier or better to use the plastic or wood when you're fishing structure?
The question is if you're making structure, some people will plant structure. Scott's never done that on Logan Barton or Lay Lake ever for anything. Never been a part of that at all. But do you prefer plastic or do you prefer wood?
I actually have a boat just for doing sinking stuff. But for crappie, I sink all Christmas trees. I mean, all over. And we'll catch some bass out of them occasionally, but we sink Christmas trees. I mean, it's easy to get them right after Christmas. You can get all you want. Like we'll go to Lowe's. 2 years ago, went to Lowe's the day after Christmas and got 220 of them for like 50 cents a piece, and we went to some Christmas trees. And we'll stand them up for crappie and stand up 8 or 10 in an area. And the crappie don't necessarily just get in them, they just get around them, and the bait gets in them. So that's the biggest thing. And then for bass, I prefer hardwoods, any kind of hardwood, oak or anything like that.
Is there a time for crappie? I know sometimes with bass, they kind of wait to get in there. You might plant them before, correct? And then you can. Are crappie the same way? Do they take to the new structure right away?
They do. I've actually caught fish up here at Neely Henry in Canoe Creek around docks where the Christmas tree will be sticking out of the water, still green, sticking out of the water, and you catch 20 around one tree. But yeah, they'll get in them right away for sure.
I know, we all spend time all over this country traveling around, and I know Kentucky Lake, when you get over there, you look in there, there's steak beds in the shallows everywhere. Is that something, we don't see them here very often? Is that because of the water level fluctuations more?
Probably it's easy to put them in over there, but I mean, like Logan Martin goes down every year. I guess, I don't know why we don't have steak beds, but he's talking like over at Kentucky Lake, and they'll take 2x4s or 2x6s or whatever and drive them, like 20 of them standing straight up in a big circle. So it just makes an area for them to go spawn in. It's easy to go fish. And I don't know where all they do that at. I know Kentucky Lake's probably the place that I've seen them the most. But they may do it in Mississippi too. I think they do it in Mississippi over. I've been to Grenada and those lakes over there a few times, but I think they do that over there. But they sink a lot of brush, cedars and stuff too.
If you are going to sink brush, you're talking Christmas trees. Is there, like I know for bass fishing, if you're going to try to, seed a dock with wood, you might want to put it in a way that you can retrieve, like where it lays this way. Is it the same kind of thing with crappie, or you're talking standing up?
Yeah, all the ones that I try to fish for crappie, I stand them up. I mean, what we've done lately for crappie is take a block and we'll cut the limbs off the bottom of the tree, obviously where you have a pretty good little base. Put one in each hole of the block so they sort of cross like this and it holds straight. And you fill those blocks full of concrete. And then you can throw it, you can be going anywhere you want to, throw it over, you can throw it upside down, you throw it any way you want to, and by the time it hits the bottom, it's going to land standing straight up. They're going to be crossed just like that, and they'll stay that way for years.
I think all your competitors are over there.
It's just all crappie fishing. We can find a bunch of those at Logan Martin. There's a lot of places, but those Christmas trees, we do sink a lot of them. I mean, and you'll occasionally catch bass around them, but it's not the habitat for bass.
Bass are hard to eat the crappie. That's what's there.
There you go.
Do you plant? You don't. Just don't have
He
the time
probably
to do
goes
it.
too many places, doesn't have a home place or something.
Clay, how long have you been competing at this?
Since 2022.
Okay. And how many Angler of the Year titles have you won?
Won 23, 24, and then runner-up last year on the crappie match.
So he's taken up new to the competitive side. You've been fishing crappie your whole life, right? What makes a great competitive crappie angler? Like yourself.
Being able to adapt to the conditions of the lake. I mean, we'll be Kentucky Lake clear one week, fishing in the mud at Grenada or Sardis next, and fishing big fish in Mississippi. And then you'll go to Wren Lake and they're small fish. You just got to know what you're looking at on the stern. Live scope's changed a lot of crappie competition.
Anybody other questions out here? You want me to keep going? Okay. Yes, sir.
What's your favorite lake to fish?
He asked what the favorite lake is to fish.
It probably depends on the time of year, but I mean, me being from here, I go to Logan Martin probably more than any of it. Gunners were probably my favorite because it's got a little bit bigger or a lot bigger crappie. You catch a lot of really big ones up there. A lot of 2 to 2.5 pound crappie up there. We just fished Lake Martin, which is on the Tallapoosa River, and it is absolutely full of crappie, big schools. It seemed like it was weird there and at Wee Dowley, which is above there. I've been fishing both of those a lot the last month. And those big giant schools of crappie that you see, they're good crappie, good for eating and stuff. But when you get out in that 40 and 50 foot of water and you see one single down there at 25 or 30 foot, it seems like that was the bigger crappie. And it just depends on what you're targeting. If I'm going to catch 60 of them or catch my limit to go home and fry them up, I just as soon chase those schools because I'd rather eat. Me, I love to eat crappie. I'd rather eat a 10, 10.5 incher, maybe 11 at the most, and throw back 2 pounders. If I catch like a 14 or 15 inch crappie, I'm not going to fry it. I will keep a few of them. I like them blackened. I like them on the grill. I like them. We cook them a lot of different ways. But if I'm going to fry them, those 10, 11 inches are the best you can get.
What's your favorite place to go fishing? Just to go fishing, not compete necessarily, but just to go fishing.
Probably Gunnersville because you can catch them all day. The meters 10 inches there everywhere.
All right, since we're talking eating, obviously you guys both eat it. What's your favorite recipe for when you're gonna fry it?
Chef Rondé's fish batter out of Louisiana. It's the best for me.
Chef Rondé's fish batter. that someone you work with, or just you buy it?
Both. I mean, I met him at a tournament or whatever, and they had some fish, and I had bought some from him, and then now they send us some. So
Oh, there you go. Now, Scott, you mentioned several, and you're a cook. I mean, you cook a lot of different things.
Yeah, we do it a lot of different ways. If I had to go buy a pack of seasoning, I'd buy the Louisiana crispy original. But actually, a couple of weeks ago, they didn't have it. It's the blue bags. They had the Louisiana Cajun, and it was really, really good. But if I'm at home, a lot of times I take yellow cornmeal and put a little bit of paprika and a little seasoning on in it, and just mix my own up. Might put a little bit of flour in it, but it's usually just that yellow cornmeal, and I like the seasoning of that. So, we do it a lot of different ways, but if I had to buy it, I would probably just go. But I like the Louisiana crispy or the Louisiana Cajun. It doesn't really matter, but I've never had what he's talking about. Any of it's good. I know that the Johnny Morris has their own Cajun batter, and it's really good. Matt brought some of it and used it. So my favorite way to eat them is blackened over a bed of rice, but I don't know why. I got into that blackening on the Blackstone. My daughter likes them grilled. We put some Italian seasoning on it, just grill it over on a cast iron grill over some hot coals, and it's really good. So I think you can do it any way you want to. You can't mess it up.
How long do you tend to cook them if you're grilling them?
It's just like a minute and a half, 2 minutes on each side, depending on how hot you get it. And on blackening, I get them as hot as I can get my cast iron. Put it on there for probably 90 seconds on each side. It'll actually start raising up off of it. It makes it really, it doesn't stick anymore. You flip it to the other side, do the same thing, and you get yourself a good meal.
All right, any more questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm trying to learn.
That's what we want.
No,
that's what we're here.
I bought a house and I got to freaking catch these little things now, But is there a weedless jig head that work? I mean, I've seen Roadrunner ones, but I just can't seem to get bit on their weed. Is there?
Now they would probably have some up here. There's a lot.
Yeah,
of
his question is there a weedless jig head that he likes?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. They actually make a little rubber guard, stick guard, they call it. It goes over you put it on your line. It goes down over your line tie, and you stick it into the hook. It works pretty good. I think they have some weedless ones up here with a little bitty fiber weed guard, and those work really, really good. But there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Is there a name brand you guys prefer?
I'll go up here and look when we get done in the back here in the loft. I think they have some that's pretty good. He probably got a name brand of some.
You fish a lot of slider stuff.
yeah, they got a slider one that you put the bait in and just turn it backwards. It's hard to hang up.
Okay.
Is it a Texas rig, kind of like a bass fishing Texas rig, like a bullet head that you kind of be able to rig it that way?
It's an offset hook.
Yeah, it's an offset hook. You just put the little bit of the bait and then turn it over, and it's kind of like a Texas rig, but it ain't on the hook as much.
So you absolutely ask as many questions as you want to while we're sitting here, but they'll love to take you up there.
We're trying. I've talked to Dan too. This may help you. Trying to schedule. We're going to do a little crappie out on Lake Neely Henry here in a couple of weeks, so it'll be live. So we're going to try to do that.
Yeah, we do a Bucks Island live series here. We did it really a lot during COVID, where we'd get our pros and we'd go fish on the lake. Wes and Matt were our first. Scott's caught the biggest fish that we've had on there, but it was right before the camera turned on. Because Scott's notorious for throwing before the camera would get turned. He caught a 5+ on camera-ish right there. But they're happy to show. And you got a question, sir?
Yeah, Blade Runners. What's your favorite kind of Blade Runner, and what's your technique?
He asked, what's your favorite kind of Blade Runner, and what's your favorite technique for it?
You talking about
Like a road runner?
Like a road runner?
Yeah, like a road
The
runner.
underspin?
I don't use any of that. I don't use anything with a spinner on it at all.
Me either, but the road runner is the only one that I know of, the Blakemore.
Like more road runner. And I know they catch them on it. I think it's probably a lot better dirty water. It'll draw a little bit more fish from a little distance or something. Around here, we don't have to. I mean, like when they get shallow at Neely Henry, black and blue with a chartreuse tail, a curly grub, and you catch all you want. And if they're out a little bit, we use a Bobby Garland, just straight tail Bobby Garland. I tell you, I've got into using a lot of the swim baits too, like little small swim baits, even up to like 2.5 inch. And it like these last couple of tournaments that I've had stuff, I'll be using a heavy head out deep, like using my active target out deep and catching them on, at Garnersville, I got into it big time, catching them on like a 4 inch mooch minnow bass bait, and the crappie love it. I mean, Yeah, I think a lot of times we do use a little bit smaller bait. I've actually went fishing with some guys. I went with Eric Cagle, who's another crappie guy or tournament guy, and he uses a little bit bigger bait at times. So I mean, we did catch some bigger baits like that.
Talking about swim baits type things, what bait in particular with you with Charlie Brewer do you like when you're dealing with a kicktail type of a situation?
The crappie grub, the 1.5 inch black and chartreuse tail. And then there's bait fuel nano crappie series, little prop duster. They got the big ones for bass, but then they got the new 2 inch one that works good.
That first one you're talking about, it's a paddle tail like a swim bait. So it's the same thing. That swim bait action is what I was talking about. I get into using their swim bait. That slider makes one with a little boot tail on it. It's got a lot of action like that.
Scent. You mentioned bait fuel. Do you guys use any scent for crappie?
I have. I mean, it seems like when fishing shallow docks or something, I mean, we can see them under the docks, obviously, now. And there might be 40 of them in there. And you pull up, you catch 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sometimes. If they quit biting, then I've used the scent. And I mean, I've used bait fuel, I've used strike force, I've used a lot of different things. And the bait fuel seemed to really work when I was doing that.
What about you, Clay?
Yeah, bait fuel. But if you use a minnow, you don't make sense.
You're talking a real minnow.
Alive minnow. I got a question for you here. Y'all use, do you tip a jig with a minnow a lot of times? Like use I don't know what the name of the jigs are. A tuffy jig or something like a rubber with a hair, and then put a minnow on it with the jig.
Yeah, sometimes we put the minnow on a hair jig, it works some, and sometimes we just throw the minnow up on the hook or just hook it through the lip too.
When do you go live bait versus artificials? And because you can use minnows in a tournament, correct? When would you choose that?
We'll load the long pole for sure live bait, but with casting, sometimes it's hard to keep a minnow on there without swinging it off. So we usually cast with jigs and long pole minnows.
Y'all need to check out if you love crappie, I like crappie fishing. We've been in Grenada and stuff. But that long pole thing is a lot of fun. It's different than what we do around here, but it's a ton of fun. That 15 foot he uses. Some guys if they're trolling, use different lengths, like maybe a 10, a 12, and a 15. So your jigs are scattered out at different lengths away from the boat, so you cover a wider area as you're trolling along.
And then if you're using that spreader type rig, then you might go with different jig head sizes to kind of make them pull a little different too, correct?
Yeah, you just want to give them different options to see what they're wanting and then change them all at the same time.
Any other questions, folks?
Y'all fixing anything out there?
Yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir.
Y'all fixing shallow yet?
I haven't caught them super shallow like on the banks. I've caught them shallow, but they're out over like 10 foot of water. I haven't caught them super shallow up on the bank. And I know people probably have.
I have been.
Yeah,
41, like 15 inches,
there you go.
Thursday,
Yeah,
3 foot of water.
we got you got any waypoints?
I don't tell her, I've never used business like this.
There you go. There you go. No, I know that they do get shallow really good. I haven't been shallow. We'll probably do a little bit of both in a couple of weeks when I get back, but looking forward to it.
Did you just violate no information crappie rules?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering because I said a bunch of fishing, but they were fishing days.
Yeah, most people up here,
It
it seemed like most people, I haven't fished Neely Henry at all this year, but it seemed like when I come up here, even when they're on the banks, there's more boats out trolling and stuff than there is up on the bank. And I'd rather catch them up there shallow.
I'm using catching more than everybody is.
There you go.
Oh, listen to him.
There you
I
go.
got Clay. You got competition over here. It sounds like.
I'll sell
You
you
have a
some
question,
fish,
sir.
it's a deal.
That's true.
Besides the long pole, would you recommend the best one to get?
He's asking what size long pole would you recommend and what brand do you like the most? And Clay, you're the one that uses them more, so
We fish a 15 foot mafia, orange rod. I don't like the color because I'm out of anything, but the rod's pretty good. So yeah, it's a 15 foot rod. You can get away with, rods that are shorter, but sometimes in clear water the fish is spooky, so you want the longest rod you can hold out there steady.
I've done a lot of dock shooting and have had fun with that. Is that something you might do in competition, or is it just not efficient enough?
not really efficient, but we do it for fun, you know. We love dog shooting, but we're trying to put the 5 biggest crappie we can put on the screen.
I know you love doing that too, because it's kind of like flipping for crappie, and you're a flipper.
Yeah, I love shooting docks. I mean, I've gotten to where I'd like chasing schools and stuff. I like casting them. I don't know, but I do love shooting docks. I mean, we do that a lot. And at Logan Martin, Lele, Neely Henry, you can shoot docks and catch them pretty good. But it's just like once they move shallow, I mean, and they're getting there now. There's probably some up here shallow. And they some stay shallow from October throughout the year. But it just depends. You have to figure out what docks are on. If they're on the river docks or in the creeks. But once you figure that out, I love shooting docks for sure. I use a shorter rod for that, like a 5/6 or a 6-footer. And a lot of times you try to use 6-pound line because you do get hung a little more shooting docks than you do out in open water for sure.
Do you tie a loop knot?
I don't. I've done it some, but I didn't see that big a difference. I don't.
What about this jigging float?
He's asking about jigs and floats.
Yeah, I know he may know more about it than that. That's a big deal on the Tallapoosa River. And I used to have a partner that did it a bunch at Logan Martin. When they actually go shallow and start spawning, you maybe have to put a cork about 2 or 3 foot above it, and it just lets that bait set still a lot longer. You hold your presentation there rather than just tight lining and reeling it through them. I don't do it much, but I know it works.
You don't do it either?
Yeah. He's trying to catch it.
Yeah, when you're dealing with competition, you got to be as efficient as you can. I get, like Scott said,
It's a ton of fun when they're spawning up there in that shallow water. Those big black crappie, that's the males. They call it putting on their tuxedo. They get really dark when they're up there on the bed and making those spawning beds and stuff. Super shallow around rocks, that cork, that jig, that cork up above it, And sometimes I see people doing it 18 inches. I mean, super shallow. And you just a lot of people throw it and reel it, but you can stop it, pop it, whatever. And just lets it sit there. I sort of tight line, just cast and line through it. But that is a lot of fun doing that, especially for it don't matter if you're 6 years old or 4 years old or you're 54 years old. You still like seeing that cork go on.
Any other questions, folks? Yes, sir.
Do you think the crappie fishing here has declined over the past few years from what it used to be?
He's asking, do we think the crappie fishing has declined here over the last few years?
I haven't been to Neely, but I know it did decline. And I think it just goes through cycles. Those fish go up to spawn. We have a flood. Minnesota Bend holds the water up. This lower end gets 4 foot deep. It messes up a spawning season. I think that it goes through cycles. I don't know what it's in right now. I know Logan Martin, I think, is better now than it's ever been. And I don't know if it's the size is better and the numbers really, but the size is a little better than I think it's ever been up there. And I think it's, with live scope, active target, people are able to take more out of a lake. I don't know what it'll do 10 years from now, but they're taking more out, and it seems like the size has gotten a little better.
It just seems like over the past few years, the crappie
Neely Henry?
declined, yes.
Yeah. We should ask Kenny. Kenny knows more about crappie than I do at Neely Henry for sure, but I think it goes through cycles is what I think. Is that what you think too, Kenny? Kenny catches as many as anybody I know up here.
And if you ever want to pick somebody's brain about it, talk to Pat in Parks.
Oh, yeah.
He'll talk crappie all day long, and he's out there every week, and he'll be able to tell you a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to ask the final question for myself. Clay, what's your personal biggest crappie you've ever caught?
333 on Grenada.
333 on Grenada. What about you?
278 at the Gunnersville. I've never broke 3 pounds. I've caught thousands and that, but I've never broke 3 pounds.
Okay.
Going to next year, I may go to Clear Lake. I've seen some big fish come out there this year.
I've actually hung. I don't know how big it was, but I actually on a spoon in about 40 feet of water off of Canocti over there. I caught one that was bigger than a dinner plate over there.
I caught one at Gunnersville in June, we was in a bass tournament, flipping a 1/2 ounce brown jig with a super chunk on it. 20-pound line. And when I said, dude, that's a good one. And Alan Yarborough got the net netted. I don't know how big. We didn't weigh it. I just threw it back. It was probably a 3-pound.
All right. So we're going to go ahead. We've got a couple of raffle prizes for the crappie. And I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of ask some questions about their seminar. I'm going to grab something. I'll be right back. Sure. Let's get some hats. And then he's got a crappie pack that Charlie Brewer sent. let's give some hats to some kids, Scott, and you can just kind of pick those out. Get 5 or 6 hats, and then you got a crappie and a bass pack there. Is that what you got? And you got some stickers, right? Okay. So here's, we'll go ahead and put that back for the bass seminar. So we've got, well, there you go. You got a Roadrunner type bait in there. It's called a Charlie bee
How y'all doing?
from Charlie Brewer Sliders. Clay, how long have you worked with Charlie Brewer now?
Yes, sir.
He started his competitive career with that.
Wherever they're.
All right.
I don't have.
First person that can tell me what Clay's biggest fish was will win this.
I go there more.
I heard it. Okay, 333. Let's give me a couple more hats here, if you don't mind. Do you guys only crappie fish or do you bass fish too? Bass mainly? Let me have a couple of bass packs too, please. Thank you, Scott. Guys, they're around to answer any questions you got. If you guys want to look at tackle up there, we'll do that too. Okay, what's Scott's favorite head color to throw? Oh, plain. I heard it. Who said plain? There you go. Here, let's give you a bass bait and a hat over here. Okay, I got a couple more here. How many Angler of the Year titles has Clay won? Two. Who said that? I heard that. Who was the first? Who said 2? He did. Okay. Well, since you guys tied on that one, we'll do that. Okay, folks, lunch is going to get started here. I think the skeeter beans will be ready before the wings get here, but here in about an hour we'll be able to hit lunch. We got the vendors up there. We'll have a big bait seminar with Ryan and Brandon Polinick here at 11:30ish. I'm sorry, 12:30. Skeeter beans will be ready. There's some punch up there, waters and stuff. Feel free to visit the vendors and talk to any of the pro anglers that are here. That kind of is the raffle for the crappie. Yeah. I'll do a bigger raffle at the 12:30.